What if I told you that a substance so deadly it could wipe out entire cities could also be the very thing that gives someone their sight back? That the line between a terrifying bioweapon and a life-changing medicine is so incredibly thin, it's measured in trillionths of a gram. It's a wild thought, right? So let's get into it, because today we're unpacking the truly unbelievable story of botulinum toxin. First things first, let's get one thing straight. We are talking about the single deadliest substance known to science. Full stop. Its power is almost impossible to wrap your head around, and for most of history, its only job was to be a silent, terrifying killer. So, to really understand how this poison ended up on pharmacy shelves, we have to start at the beginning, with its very dark origins. This isn't just a story about medicine. It's a story that starts with war, spoiled food, and a really mysterious, deadly paralysis. Our story kicks off in the early 1800s. In the middle of the Napoleonic Wars, people in Germany are suddenly dying after eating blood sausages. A sharp physician named Justinus Kerner starts connecting the dots and identifies a sausage poison. For more than 100 years, that's pretty much all it was, a nasty food contaminant. Fast forward to after World War II, and suddenly the U.S. Army is very interested. Over at Fort Detrick, which was a bioweapons lab, a Dr. Edward Shantz manages to purify the stuff, basically weaponizing it. But then, in 1971, something unexpected happens. An experiment by Daniel Drachman shows that in teeny tiny microscopic amounts, the toxin doesn't kill. It just causes a very specific, very localized paralysis. And just like that, a little chink of light appears in the armor of this terrifying substance. But what does this poison actually do to a person? I mean, how does it kill? Well, the way it works is both incredibly simple and absolutely horrifying. It doesn't burn you or dissolve your cells. It just turns things off. The condition it triggers is called flaccid paralysis. Now, you've probably heard of tetanus, which causes lockjaw, right? That's a rigid paralysis where your muscles can't relax. Botulism is the complete opposite. It's a total shutdown, where your muscles can't contract at all, making the body go completely limp. So here's the play-by-play of how it all goes down. First, the toxin gets into your bloodstream. From there, it hitches a ride all over your body, hunting for the exact spots where your nerves talk to your muscles. At those junctions, it does one single devastating thing. It blocks the signal. Your nerve is screaming contract, but the muscle hears nothing. Total silence. This silent paralysis just keeps spreading, and when it finally gets to your diaphragm, the muscle you need to breathe, that's it. The victim suffocates, completely conscious, but unable to take a single breath. Okay, so let's hit pause on the horror story for a second. We're leaving the world of bioweapons and heading to San Francisco in the 1970s. Here, an eye doctor named Alan Scott is dealing with a totally different, but just as maddening problem. He has patients who are, for all practical purposes, blind. Not because their eyes are hurt, but because their muscles have gone haywire. The whole thing really boiled down to this one huge question. For people with strabismus, or crossed eyes, one muscle is just constantly yanking the eye to the side. For others with blepharospasm, the muscles around their eye are spasming so hard they literally clamp the eyelid shut. The problem wasn't a weak muscle. It was a muscle that was too strong, one that wouldn't quit. So how on earth do you tell one tiny, overactive muscle in the entire body to just chill out? And this just perfectly frames the challenge he was up against. I mean, think about it. All of medicine is about strengthening things, fixing what's broken. Dr. Scott needed the exact opposite. He needed a biological off switch. He needed a way to do a very targeted, very temporary, and reversible bit of sabotage on a single muscle. And that's when he remembered hearing about a certain toxin that did exactly that. And this is where the story gets really, really cool. This is where we pivot from biology to biochemistry. The world's most dangerous substance was about to become the world's most precise medical instrument. And the reason it all works is because of this beautiful, intricate dance that's happening at your nerve endings trillions of times a day. So, how does a thought in your brain make your muscles move? Well, it all starts with a chemical message. Your nerves have these little bubbles, called vesicles, packed with messenger chemicals. When your brain gives the command, these bubbles have to travel to the very edge of the nerve and release their cargo to tell the muscle what to do. But how do those bubbles know exactly where to go to release their message? That's where these amazing little proteins called snare proteins come into play. You can think of them like docking clamps on a space station. They literally grab onto the vesicles and pull them into the perfect position at the membrane so they can release their signal. No clamps, no message. And this is the absolute genius of this poison. It doesn't just blow up the nerve or destroy the muscle. No, it brings a tool. The botulinum toxin is, for all intents and purposes, a highly specialized pair of molecular scissors. So here's what it does. The toxin sneaks into the nerve ending, and, with the precision of a surgeon, it finds those protein docking clamps and just snip. It cuts them. That's it. With the clamps broken, the message-filled bubbles can't dock. The signal never gets sent. The nerve is effectively silenced, and the muscle, getting no orders, has no choice but to completely relax. Dr. Scott had found his off switch. So by injecting a ridiculously small, purified dose of botulinum toxin right into an overactive eye muscle, Dr. Scott could silence it for months. The eye would straighten out. The eyelid would open up. The patient could see again. The poison had become the cure. And really, this is the whole story in a nutshell. The exact same substance can be a weapon of mass destruction or a miracle medicine. The only difference? Well, it's all about the dose and the delivery. A flood of the toxin spreading through your body is fatal, but a tiny targeted drop can give someone their life back. Dr. Scott's creation, which he first called oculinum, eventually became the Botox we all know today. And it didn't just stop with eye problems. It kicked off a whole new field of medicine. From crippling neck spasms and chronic migraines to things like excessive sweating, this treatment works its magic by telling a very specific group of muscles to just take a break for a little while. And of course, there's the cosmetic use for wrinkles, which works on the very same principle. It's just a staggering journey when you think about it, from deadly sausages at wartime to a syringe that can restore a person's entire quality of life. And it leaves you with this one last fascinating question to chew on. How many other so-called poisons in nature aren't really villains at all, but are just powerful tools that we haven't figured out how to use yet?